This program is brought to you by UCKG.
Hello and welcome to another inspiring episode of A Different Kind of Woman. A different kind of woman is a woman who does not give up. I'm sure you've all heard the saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Saying it is easy, but picking yourself up after disappointment isn't always easy. And on today's show, Pick Yourself Up, we're going to be looking at how you can rebuild yourself and turn disappointments into accomplishments. Joining me in the studio today to discuss this important topic are my motivated co-hosts. I hope you're motivated.
Yes.
So welcome Maria and Liliana.
Hello.
Now we're talking about disappointments. And just so we can see whether you identify with the subject, have you guys suffered any disappointments at all throughout? I'm sure you have, but can you tell us about some of the disappointments that you've faced in life?
Should I go?
Some or one.
So I have, two, but one that I remember was when my dad and mum broke up. Mm-hmm. That was a disappointment because, no child wants that. And then growing up, being a teenager, I was bullied. Mm-hmm. That one was a really rough patch. But the harshest kind of disappointment I had was when someone actually said to me, like, those words, like, basically, you're not good enough. Mm-hmm. And that was like, oh no, like, mm-hmm. that was a really big disappointment.
So you took those words in seriously?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can relate to that. Well, I've had many disappointments. I'm not going to lie about it. Mm-hmm. Really, a lot of disappointment in my life. Being let down by others. But I think one of the strongest one, I think, for me is when I came to realize just how much I've let myself go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think for me that was the most disappointing time in my life.
In terms of you had stopped taking care of yourself, caring about yourself, you just
stopped thinking about myself altogether. Mm-hmm. And I began to kind of like take my focus of myself and just concentrated on everything else and everyone else, allow myself to really go down. And that is the worst. That was for me the worst disappointment when I came to realize what I had done, what I've been doing.
Yeah, I've faced some disappointments as well. I've shared many of them here on the show, being a victim of bullying at school, growing up through apartheid, at least towards the end of it. So yeah, I've shared many disappointments, but I remember, like now when we were talking about disappointments, one that came to mind was, I can't say that I've actually grown up missing having a father. My father died when I was 4 months, 4 months old. So I can't say that I really grew up missing having him in my life because my mom really compensated well. She really made sure that I didn't miss him. So I actually didn't. But when I grew up and he wrote a book and I actually got to read the book that he wrote, his ideas sort of like stood up to me. And I became disappointed that I never met him as a person. So I kind of, wished that I had the opportunity to have met him. Yeah, so one of my disappointments in life is that I never got to meet my father. But thank God he left some ideas written down in a book and I was able to keep up with him through those ideas. But before we delve into the topic further, let's find out what the people on the streets of London think with Priscilla.
Back to a time where you failed at something meaningful or important to you. Did you feel demoralized, helpless, hopeless, or even stuck because you have done everything that you could and still you are not able to succeed? If so, you're not alone. Disappointment is an emotional reaction to an outcome which is worse than expected. According to scientists, there are definite physiological aspects to what happens in the brain once you are disappointed. When you admit to yourself that you didn't get what you wanted or wished for, you are going to experience a combination of anger, sadness, or apathy. Disappointment stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. A chemical response is triggered resulting in melancholy, inertia, feelings of hopelessness, and it can even trigger heart disease. Here are some tips from psychologists to help you effectively manage disappointed feelings. Be more realistic. Don't be too pessimistic. Try not to spend too much. Analyze your own behavior and laugh. Humor is always a good idea. Let's find out what the public think. What caused the greatest disappointment of your life?
I didn't get into the university I wanted to.
I suppose not working hard enough and not getting the grades I wanted to at university.
I think it's tricky with disappointment because I guess it just depends what your expectations are. So I think when I've been thinking and having too big expectations over something, over someone, that's when I get mainly disappointed, rather than a disappointment that, I don't know, something didn't go right. It was mainly because I was thinking it was going to be this something else, if that makes sense.
At the end of my first year at uni, one of my best mates who I lived with and I was going to live with for the next few years died. So that was disappointing in the way that kind of it scuppered my plans for the next few years. I didn't really know, it was just a bit lost when that happened, really.
What is your best advice to pick yourself up again after disappointment?
Surround yourself with people who care about you. Surround yourself with people who, it doesn't matter if they've been through the similar experience. If they have, great, you can help each other through it. Even if they haven't, just someone to talk to about things. You don't even have to talk to them about it. Just, if they're friends and they make you laugh, go and have a laugh with your friends and stuff. Have a laugh with your family. Just, if there's something that makes you happy, go and do that. Make sure that you keep doing that throughout.
I'm quite a positive person, so if I'm feeling really down about something, or if I'm feeling a bit low or got disappointed, the thing I'd probably do is just remember the good things that are going on in my life and be really happy and thankful and grateful for the things that are going well, maybe rather than the negative things that are bringing me down.
My favourite thing anyone ever said to me was, your track record for getting through bad days is 100%, so you'll get through this bad day as well and you'll be fine. You just got to keep going, I think. Yeah.
That's it this week from the streets of London, and it's back to you in studio.
Thank you very much, Priscilla, and thank you for the audience in the streets of London. That was very inspiring.
It was.
So now I'm going to extend the same question that they answered to you. How do you pick yourself up after disappointments?
Do you want to go first?
Okay. So I've come to realize a lot of things have to do with the mind. Mm-hmm. And there was a time where, I'm honest, I would put a program on, I'd put a comedy show to try, but I'll notice it was still in my mind until what I did is I would try to challenge that thought in my mind. Mm-hmm. So whether it's okay, I've just been disappointed. Okay, but Lily, kind of okay, where's the silver lining to it? What could you have learned from it? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest, I do have, I put happy thoughts in my mind. We can control our mind. A lot of people think that we can't, but we can. So I'll say to myself, no, Lily, you can do it. Don't worry, you can. So obviously in the beginning, it felt very forceful. It's not natural. It feels okay, you're just, forcing it. But as you keep doing it, you're going to realize that, what I always say, you are what you eat, so you are what you think.
Right.
So
how about you, Maria? How do you pick yourself up after disappointment?
For me, it was really tough because I realized that I'd let myself really, really down. I've really disappointed myself when I actually ended up in the hospital and I'd just taken and overdosed. Now, at that point, and I remember being told that I was very lucky to be alive, after they had to pump my stomach out. So at that point is when I thought to myself, no. If he says that I'm lucky to be alive, then there's got to be more to life than this. Mm-hmm. So what I started to do wasn't easy. One thing is we cannot keep letting people say to us, oh no, you've got to pick yourself up. It's not easy. It's never easy to pick yourself up. Yeah. But I decided to learn something new. And I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to work with children. This has always been my dream.
So you gave yourself a new purpose.
Yes, and I went on. I remember I went on to do, the level 2, And then I thought, no, I'm still not ready yet. I'm still not ready. So I went on to do a level 3. And so I was regaining myself back. I was regaining my self-esteem, my confidence, everything. And that's how I did it.
Yeah, and that's the secret. The secret is not to look back, but to keep looking forward. As much as, you know, what you feel inside wants to draw you to look back, to look behind, keep looking forward. Now, we went for a confidence building makeover and photo shoot at Pierre Lemond, and let's see what happened when we arrived.
Hi, I'm here at the Pierre Lemond Studios for our celebrity treatment and photo shoot. I think I'm ready for my superstar treatment.
Everyone gets on so well. It's like a real family and everyone cares about what they do here. Everyone's heart's in it and it's really good fun. What inspired me to become a stylist was basically a love of all things sparkly and glittery when I was little, and I loved painting, so I just moved on to painting faces. I think a makeover and a photo shoot improves your confidence. It just gives you a boost if you're feeling a bit blue on the inside, just to give yourself a bit of glamour on the outside can just give you a little confidence boost.
Why do you love so much what you do? Why do you love being a makeup artist?
Makeup artist is more than a job, it's a passion for me. I love to be capable to transform people's faces, hair, and even their self-esteem through makeup.
See how our makeovers turn out later on the show.
That was certainly a lot of fun, so we're still laughing at how fun that was. We'll see more of that later on the program. Now we're going to take a short break, but don't go away, as we'll be right back with more on Pick Yourself Up. Take a look at what's coming up next after the break. Next, we'll find out how resilient we are in a personality test.
Rate myself 4.
Yeah.
4. Yes. I'm abstaining from taking the test. I am the examiner. Welcome back. On today's show, Pick Yourself Up, we've been discussing how to overcome disappointments. And I think if not the most important thing that you need in order to overcome disappointment is resilience, right? Sure. Resilience helps you to bounce back. It helps you to find a solution. It helps you to move ahead, not to get stuck or in that problem or disappointment. Now, we're going to test how resilient you are as people, because it's easy to say that you are, but are you actually resilient people? So we're going to ask you questions and ask you to rate yourself from 1 to 5. 1 being very little, so very little, and 5 being very strong. Okay. So let's see how you rate yourself. In a crisis or chaotic situation, I calm myself and focus on taking useful actions. So rate yourself when you are in a chaotic situation. Are you calm? How are you? Rate yourself from 1 to 5.
So from 1 to 5, I would say 4. I'm being honest. No, I say 4. I say 4, especially because where
when everything breaks up, all.
Well, I was gonna say, Monty, where I work, if I could say, that tends to happen a lot. They have a lot of on-call things, and people. Lily needs to get done. Lily has this been done, so because of that, I don't allow that person to, what's the word? Bring that thing to me. I have to calm down, because if I don't, sometimes I do, I'm going to say, but if I don't, then I'm going to give the wrong information back, or I might do things in a rush and it would just turn out wrong, which has happened to me before. So I'll say 4, but never 5, because I still need to work on it.
Okay, how about you, Maria? How do you rate yourself?
Well, I mean, I would definitely now, because again, like you, Liliana, I have my reasons why I would rate myself 4, because I remember the way I was before. I was a very panicky person, dealing with problems, situation. Believe me, I became really, really chaotic. So I've had to have a lot of practice, really, basically. So I would definitely now rate myself 4.
Yeah.
4. Yes. I'm abstaining from taking the test. I am the examiner. So now I feel self-confident, appreciate myself, and have a healthy concept of who I am. Self-confident, appreciate yourself, a healthy concept of who you are as a person. How do you rate yourself on that one, Maria?
Well, I'm so glad it's self-confident, not overconfident, because now I would rate myself 5.
You are.
Yeah.
So you've done well from that woman who had completely lost herself. Now you are someone who can appreciate yourself. Well done, Maria.
So I want to say a 5, but I've just recently got married, and I wanted to say, when, you actually start to see things about yourself. Actually, I need to change on that. So before, when I was single, I would say 5, but now I'm like, no, actually, it's a 4. It's a 4 because there's certain things that, I'm confident in and I see, but there's things within myself that I'm like, Lily, work on it. So I don't see it in a negative light. I see it as in, fix that.
Good for you. So now, I read people well and trust my intuition. Do you read people well and trust your intuition? So when you have a look at Morty, for example, can you kind of read Morty, read Morty's reactions very well, and do you trust that intuition?
No, I wouldn't rate myself 5 on that, because we can always go wrong. But I would rate myself 4. As I said, 5, you cannot know a person that well.
How about you, Lily?
I was going to say, I know it sounds contradicting to what Maria said. I say to myself 5 because, obviously, again, you are right. Maria is right. But I have the thing where, I know how you are 100%, but I know, if you're quiet, I know it's not the time for me to talk so much. And I have to just share an experience. One time I was on a train, and this lady was about to collapse. No one realised, but I was like, there's something off with this lady. My friends were talking, there's something off. As the train stopped and she was about to stand up, she was about to fall, and I literally just got there. So I I'm not perfect, but I kind of
can read people.
Read people, but yeah.
I know I'm abstaining, but I want to give my opinion. You know what? I think I believe that I read people well. But there's something that I do as well. I take time to read people, so I'm not quick to reach a conclusion. So, for example, if I'm looking at someone and they're quiet, I wouldn't necessarily assume that I know the reason why they're quiet. So I may notice that they're quiet, but I'll take longer to get to an assumption of why they are that way. And I think that's where the well comes in, because people have to give a lot more of themselves. I have to observe a lot more of that person in order for me to reach a conclusion. So not being quick to reach a conclusion is good. I'm very durable. I hold up well during tough times, and I have an independent spirit. Very durable. It's like you're resistant. You hold up well. You're resilient in hard times.
Yeah.
How would you rate yourself on that?
I was looking at Maria. I'm like, Maria, what are you going to say?
Well, Gosh, I can't even be on the fence on that one, or I can't. But yeah, I would say I am. You know, again, it goes back to, I think you really learn from your lessons, you know, especially if you've been through some really, really tough times. You do learn. But I think I would be very careful on that one again, you know. I do have an independent spirit, but durable, I think I would give myself maybe 4.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of have to agree with Maria because I'm just looking at myself, and even though like I have gone through hard moments, and I have, you know, what's the word? Like made it, if I could say, it doesn't stop me from, for example, crying. Some people will say, oh, but crying doesn't make you durable. I disagree. Sometimes crying is the way to let it out. Do you know what I mean? But it took me a while to understand that. I would before think crying makes me weak, or expressing that I feel, you know, sad at that moment makes me weak. Sorry, kind of long story short, I'll like probably give myself a 4. Again, 5, I don't want to be like, yeah, but like, I'll give myself a 4 that I am durable when hard moments do really come. But I have learned that it's good to let it out. Like, don't, because I've done this, if you hold it, so it will come out somehow, and like in another way that you will be disappointed with yourself. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, I grew up believing that I have a very independent spirit. I grew up being taught to be independent. So I remember, you know, growing up and getting lost as a child, and getting lost not as a child but as a teenager, coming back from a trip where someone was supposed to pick me up at the airport, didn't. I don't have much cash in my pocket. I don't have a mobile phone at that time. I'm calling my home number. There's no one at home. So when you find yourself in that situation and you have to take yourself out of that situation, I think I was brought up with an independent spirit. I was able to take myself home, to get myself home, to keep asking questions, protect myself, make sure that I'm not attacked, and get my home safely. So I do believe I'm very durable in tough situations. But today I wouldn't describe myself as independent because of the faith that I have in God, and I have learned to depend on Him in most situations, and that's where my strength comes from. So I no longer have an independent spirit in terms of wanting to do everything by myself. I learned to lean on my faith a lot. I learned to lean on the principles that I learned through my faith.
Learning through your faith, but not on others.
Yes,
exactly. Totally agree with that.
So now we had a lot of 4s and 5s in the studio here. So while we work out our scores, let's take a look at how the photo shoot went.
Lovely. Okay, did you same thing, same shot, just looking away this time. All right. Brilliant. Just looking at that here for me. Perfect. The smile, that's lovely. A little bit to that. Yep. Then eyes to me. Perfect. Cool. Great. All right. And let's have you face that way. Give me a little smile. Perfect. Let's do one more like that. Just that much like that. Just looking up at the camera. Bring the shoulder forward a touch more. Perfect. You want 4? That's going to help you keep your balance as well. That's it.
Gosh, man.
Fantastic.
I'm really supporting you guys.
There we go. Cool. That side, but facing that way. That's it, yes, space, that's it.
See how our photos turn out later on the show.
Yep. So Lily, you looked like you enjoyed yourself in that photo shoot.
I really did. It was so nice.
It was really good. It was confidence building, right?
You look like you were having great fun.
Yeah, we did.
And now it's time to reveal our scores, right? So 20 or higher means you're very resilient. Between 15 and 20, it means you're better than most. 5 and 10, slow but adequate. 5 or under, you're struggling. Are you ready for your scores, ladies?
Yes.
So drum roll, well done. You've all done well. You're all over 20. So you have proven yourself to be very resilient. Well done. So we're going to take a short break, but don't go away. Take a look at the interesting women that will be joining us after the break. Next, Sandra will be speaking to entrepreneur Claudette Grant, and Maria Mitchell will be joining us in the studio to share how she bounced back after losing her job.
Then I was given this offer of a redundancy package, and I thought, you know what, this is a great time for me to take that leap.
But I lost the job, then that led me into depression, anxiety, self-harming, suicidal thoughts.
Welcome back. So far on today's show, Pick Yourself Up, we've been discussing how resilient we are, and we found out that the ladies in the studio are quite resilient. Now, Sandra met with entrepreneur Claudette Grant. Let's find out what she had to say.
Hello, I'm here with Claudette Grant, entrepreneur and founder of First Aspiration.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about what First Aspiration is.
Oh yes, First Aspiration. It's as it really is. It's something that I wanted to create to inspire people. I just felt that my whole life was one big event juggling act, and to put it into action and to put it into something that I enjoy doing naturally, because I didn't actually even realize until someone says, you're always juggling things, you're always doing so much. So from that, I just suddenly thought, you know what, that is what I should be doing. And because I had done something similar in my catering background, I thought I'm just going to concentrate just on that section. So what I wanted to do is inspire people to do what they want to do, inspire them to take that leap and to do what they're called to do and their full potential, and also just to create events. Whatever type of events they were. I wanted to also help the community, so my niche is really with the churches and charities to help them to fundraise, but also just to help the individual. If they've got a birthday celebration they want to create, I will want to make that scene happen. So that's my passion.
Very aspirational.
Yeah. Thank you.
Speaking of taking a leap, how did you manage to have the courage to leave a full-time, well-paid job and start up your own business?
Oh, well, the help was with a push from getting a redundancy package. I mean, I had actually asked to reduce my hours, but then I was given this offer of a redundancy package, and I thought, you know what, this is a great time for me to take that leap and to start this business that I was trying to form in the background. So I decided that I would accept, and that would help me with financially, because I had a good 4 or 5 months notice anyway. So that gave me time to slowly build up and do my background, do a bit of research, although I've still got lots of things to do, but that gave me the encouragement to step out and really do it. And also my children had reached an age that they could take themselves off to school, because my youngest had just started secondary school, so that also helped a great deal, because I didn't have to do all that backwards and forwards of, you know, the school runs and all that I had completed, so that gave me more flexibility to do what I wanted to do more.
Okay. And so how do you balance being a single mother and having your own business? Because, you know, a lot of women, some women find it hard, but how do you balance?
Well, it's timing, great timing. I just feel that God was with it all the way through. My last one has just started, he has just started secondary school in September. So that gave me a bit more flexibility, because I didn't have to do all the school runs and all of that business going backwards and forwards. He started going on his own after a couple of days. So that gave me freedom to sort of really concentrate on what I needed to do and launch out and start, you know, just start taking that leap of whatever you want to call it, courage, stupidity, whatever, but it's been great. It's been a great experience for me.
So tell me, how Well, tell us actually. Yeah. How did you get the strength to, you know, overcome your divorce, your ex's death, and running such a successful business today?
Well, that was a struggle. It was a tough time, especially for my children. My daughter was extremely close. My son obviously needs him as a role model. So that time was a reflective moment, but it was my faith. It was a time for me to really step out and do what I needed to do, that I was called to do. And I just felt that it gave me the strength, actually, because sometimes a lot of bad things can really push you, because it made you really put things in perspective and made you think, well, if I don't do it now, what if I don't get that opportunity later? So I'm going to do what I need to do regardless. So whether it fails or not fail, I know that I'm still a winner, because I won't have any what ifs. I've done my what ifs. And that gave me the encouragement and the fulfillment of doing what I need to do.
That's really good, very... because it can't be something easy, really.
No, it wasn't.
And the fact that you've managed to overcome it and, you know, start up this successful business is very inspiring.
Oh,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
For coming in and sharing your story with us here today.
Thank you.
It's back to you at the studio.
Well, thank you, Claudette, for sharing your story. It's surely inspiring. She is she's a living example of how you can take a disappointment and take it into an achievement, turn it into an achievement, right? And joining us, we have another example who is going to share her story with us, which is Maria Mitchell. Hi, Maria, welcome.
Hello.
So now, Maria has an interesting story to share with us. She suffered from osteoporosis and was unable to work, and then through that, how did that affect your life? Let me ask you.
That affected my life really badly, because I just went from downhill then, because other health issue came into it as well. And then plus I've lost my job, which I really enjoyed, working with children for the past 20 years. I really loved that job. And because of the illness, I couldn't bend anymore, run after the children, so I lost the job. Then that led me into depression, anxiety, self-harming, suicidal thoughts.
So Maria, how did depression affect your lifestyle?
I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to talk to my family. I had a daughter. I would not want to see her. I would not tell anyone I was suffering. I just suffered alone, because I thought that's what I had to do and just get on with it. I didn't want to pay my bills. I nearly lost my home, and I lived on the floor also. So I was isolated.
Got it.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask as well, because like, how did that affect even your own daughter?
Because we started arguing and shouting, and she would tell me, get out of it, and I would be like, I'm trying.
Right, exactly.
And then she would push me more away, and I would push her more away. So then we would hardly see each other. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. My gosh, I'm just sitting here really amazed looking at you now. But so you're not on medication or anything, so I would imagine, how long did it take you after you came off the medication? How long and counselling?
It was gradual progression. It didn't all happen overnight. It took me, because it started 2010, and I went through like maybe 5-6 years with the constant depression and anxiety. It was the suicidal thoughts I was hearing, go on, kill yourself, take your medication. And then I gradually said, no, I need to get off the medication, because it's making me feel worse than...
And how long did it take you after that? After you came off the medication, how long did it take you to get active again?
It took me about 3 years now, Yeah, about 3 years it took me to actually start getting my life back and enjoying life and seeing family, friends, being out. And I used a bit of my faith as well with that. And with the counseling always trained and helped me to get where I am.
I mean, I'm trying to kind of imagine what went on inside of you. I mean, moving from a depressed state to now being the woman who you are today.
Yeah.
I imagine that caused a lot of internal struggle inside of you.
Yes, it did. It was not easy because you had to deal with everyday pressure as well. You still had people saying, pick yourself up and come on, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, but I'm depressed. And even when I was 50, my sisters, my family, everyone wanted to have a big party. And I was like, I'm not in the mood. Can't you hear? And they didn't take it into consideration.
But that's exactly it, Maria, because, you know, when you're going through depression, when there's so much going on, and not everybody understands that, you know, because I always say it takes another person that's actually been through it to really understand what is going on there in that person's mind.
But I think the interesting thing that I want to know is, what did you do, like when those internal struggles would hit and you wanted to look back? What did you do? How did you overcome them and keep moving forward?
Okay. Well, I use meditation a lot. I'll put music on, like nice gospel music to lift. I'll sing, and I'll go out for walks to the park, even just sitting in the park for 5 minutes, looking at the world go by. It was like, wow, everything just rushing and everyone's just rushing around. And I use my faith also a lot as well.
So an interesting thing, you started taking in your environment. You started learning to appreciate new things instead of focusing on the things that had gone wrong.
Yeah, and then I started picking myself up. I applied myself for courses that was going on, like sewing courses. I'll be involved, and then I started talking to people, getting back my confidence to move forward in life.
So you made new plans again?
Yes, I've done 6 courses so far. I've done customer service, retail, I've done health and safety, I've done food hygiene, I've done fashion.
Wow, so the world is your oyster.
Yes. And now my big aim is to find a job and get back into working again, which I really want to do, customer service. That's my main...
I was just going to say, the fact that now you see you're investing in yourself. Before, when you were there in the room, to be honest, no wonder why the thoughts would just keep bombarding you, because you were just there. But the moments you would walk out, do you know what I mean? You're even not tricking your mind, but it's kind of like, you know, you're looking at a different perspective. You're not just always looking in that way. And I'm sure you will find a job, because look at the investments you have made in yourself.
And I'm not in that constant pain. Even though I've come off the tablets, and the doctor said they didn't advise me to, because I was too much on high dosage on the tablet. And now I just found out the tablets was making me more sick.
So it's all that positivity that you've put into yourself, into getting back on your feet again. That is the same strength now you're going to put into finding that job.
Yes. It's quite inspiring to see how you kept pushing yourself to move forward. And what Liliana mentioned, avoiding the triggers that make you want to look back and setting yourself new triggers that trigger you to look forward. That's exactly what you did. Thank you so much, Maria, for coming.
Very
inspiring. Your story was definitely inspiring, and I hope our viewers are taking in that it is possible to move forward. It is possible to pick yourself up, even from something as bad as depression, something that many people say is hard to beat. But Maria is here to say, well, you know what? I'm fighting back. I'm moving forward, and it's not affecting me. I've left it behind, so you can too. Thank you so much, Maria, for coming. We're gonna take a short break, but don't go away, as we'll be back with more on Pick Yourself Up. Here's a sneak peek on what's coming up after the break. Next, find out how our makeover turned out.
And for the final reveal, drum roll please.
Welcome back. On today's show, we've been discussing how to pick yourself up. Now let's take a look at how our photos from our confidence building photo shoot turned out.
Ooh. And for the final reveal, drum roll please.
Well, wow, Lillian. I didn't recognize you there. You look really beautiful. So we can definitely say that makeover was a success.
Absolutely stunning, ladies.
Yeah, I love the photos. I can't believe that's me in those photos.
Like a model.
So now going back to our show though, picking yourself up. I mean, we heard from our guest, Maria, and we also heard from the guest that Sandra interviewed, Claudette. What do you think is the key thing to picking yourself up in a difficult situation? So someone who's finding themselves right now in Maria's situation, they have lost their job that they love so much, they're not feeling too good about themselves, they're having a desire to self-harm. Someone who's finding themselves having lost that husband that was the rock for so many years and now all of a sudden they're a single parent. Someone who's finding themselves depressed, who's finding themselves disappointed with something. They've just lost someone that they love. They're going through grief, through bereavement. How do they pick themselves up in a hard situation? What would you say is key?
Wow. I mean, that's a lot. That is a lot. And of course, as I mentioned before, I went through depression and so I had to learn to pick myself up. I think it's if you can go back to something that you that made you happy. Perhaps, I don't know, it's a career, perhaps it's something that you wanted to do. Look back. You're not looking back on your past. You're just looking back at that one thing that actually made a difference, that when you think about that one thing, it makes you feel good inside. It makes you happy. And for me, that was it. It was working with children. That made me happy. And that's what actually motivated me, gave me that strength, that inner strength that I needed, because I didn't have that inner strength. I was so weak. And so that made a lot of difference. Go back to something that once made you happy. Work on that. And as Maria was saying as well, Maria talked about her faith. Even if it's just picking that up again, because when you're going through depression, when you're going through so much, you do sometimes tend to forget about that faith that you once had, So perhaps going even back to that, picking that up again, and move forward with that.
Yeah. So with me, how I overcame disappointments was to create a positive mindset. And it is easier said than done, because it is hard. But I had to say to myself, the first thing I did, I looked, what are the good things about me? Do you know what I mean? Instead of always, you already know the bad things, but focus on the good things about yourself. So that's what I did. I said, okay, Lily, I'm bubbly, I'm caring, I like to talk with people, like things like that. And then with that, whenever a bad thought would come, whenever, when you just get bombarded with all those thoughts in your mind, I would say to myself, no, Lily, you are a happy person. No, Lily, don't accept that bad thought. And and one thing I learned as well, was to contradict the doubt the doubt. Oh, but you can't do it. But what if I can? Oh, but I don't know. I don't know. You can't do that course. But what if I can do the course? So with me, I'm going to say it began with that positive thinking in my mind that now it's natural. Now, you know, if someone says something even negative to me, like it's an automatic thing to say, okay, Lily, you're hearing it, but how am I going to take that now, if that makes sense?
You mentioned something very interesting, which is doubting the doubt. Because if you think about it, we as people, we tend to really take in that doubt at face value quite easily.
Straight away.
The thought comes and immediately it finds root in us, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, but you are not such a good communicator. And immediately that thought finds root.
Yeah.
And I love what you did. You kind of contradicted that thought. But what if I can learn to communicate?
Exactly.
What if I can communicate and I don't know it?
Yeah.
So don't take those negative thoughts at face value is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Fight through them. And you know what? Something that people tend to do as well, a lot of people tend to suffer in silence. Right?
That's very
A lot
true.
of people tend to go, because we have this, I think we as women, in particular, we like to take care of people. We would like to be nurturing. So we have this idea that we have to be strong, because then if I show weakness, my children are going to pick up weakness, and I don't want my children to pick up this weakness in me. So I have to look like I can handle everything just to give a good example to my children. I don't want to, you know, bring a burden to my husband. I don't want to bring a burden to my family. So we learn to suffer in silence because we want to take care of the people around us. But we should learn to speak up. If not, and I'm not saying speak up to any other person. Find someone trustworthy. Find someone that you can speak to. You know, whether a counselor, whether someone at your church, someone at a local community group, someone that you can trust and have as a confidant.
Exactly.
Because when I've seen this happen to me, when you start talking about your problems, then when you say it out loud, they don't sound as bad.
And it's like it loses its power over you.
Exactly.
And I was just going to say, because Maria, like with you, Moti, I find Moti as a friend to me. So when there's moments that I'm kind of struggling, I've gone to you. I've literally gone and I've spoken, I've asked, because I know you have a different perspective, more experience than me. So indeed, that does happen when you ask for help, or even when you just let it out.
Yes.
Someone can give you a whole different angle to what you were thinking was this big giant, but it's actually something so tiny.
And you start to look at things in a different way.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you gain hope and you start finding a strength in you to move forward, right? You start finding a strength in you to make sense, to navigate through that problem. And like you're saying, sometimes all you need is just a different perspective, because what you think is overcoming, because in our minds, our problems seem like the worst problem ever. It's like nobody has gone through this. Nobody has ever, had this desire that I have to self-harm. Nobody understands what it's like to live with these constant thoughts and constant feelings that I'm getting. Nobody understands how this grief feels like. That's how we feel. That's the dialogue we normally have in our minds.
And then we become embarrassed to ask for help, and I think that's a real danger there, because when you think that, no, and you mentioned something as well, being strong all the time. No, we live in a real world. We need to learn to be real.
No, and actually learning to ask for help is strength.
Yes, exactly. So there's no wrong, no harm in asking for help. You need help, you need help. That's it.
Don't suffer in silence. Go out there, find someone to talk about, because most likely you're going to hear that person say, oh, I've been through that. And that will be the most relieving thing you've ever heard, because it's like, oh, so I'm not the only one. I know it's happened a lot to me. And now, you who are going through a tough moment right now, and you are under the impression that you're never going to break free, that you're never going to come out of this situation, please pay careful attention to what I'm going to say right now. You as a human being were born to survive. So whether or not you're going to come out of this situation is not even a question. You are going to come out, because you as a human being have an instinct to survive. But now you have to trust that instinct. You have to not allow yourself to oppress that instinct to break through, that instinct to move forward, that instinct to overcome, that instinct to survive what you're going through. You have to let that flourish inside of you and not oppress it with thoughts that are negative. It's not a question that you can break through. You will break through. You have what it takes to break through. You were created to break through. You were created to survive. The first thing that you do when you're born is you learn to feed yourself. Who teaches you how to latch onto your mother's breast and feed yourself? Who teaches you that? It's an instinct you have to survive. It's that instinct to say, I'm hungry and I need to eat. That own instinct to find a way to teach yourself, to give yourself a solution. Who teaches you to learn to identify your mother's voice? Who teaches you to cry when you're hungry? Who says, okay, when you're hungry, you're going to need to cry because mommy needs to know that you're hungry? Nobody teaches you. It's an instinct. It's that instinct inside of you to say, I'm hungry. Ah, come and feed me, right? So we have an instinct to survive. We have what it takes to break through. We have what it takes to find the solutions to our problems. But at the same time, we have circumstances that oppose that. We have things that we see, things that we hear that oppose that instinct. And it's up to you to allow that instinct to flourish, to allow that instinct to come out. Like Maria said, she learned to leave her room. She learned to go to the park. And in that moment of meditation, her mind opened up and allowed that instinct to come out. And there her dreams were born. New dreams were born. And there hope was born. So do the same for you. Come out of that room. Come out of that bed where you've been hiding yourself. Come out of that dark room where you've been closing yourself in. And come out and allow this instinct to come out, because you can make it through this moment. So that's what we have for today. And now we want to hear from you. You who have faced hard moments and you've turned your hard moments into accomplishments. Share your thoughts with us on our social network, on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, or email us your thoughts at comments@dkw.me. And join us next week for another exciting episode of DKW. Until then, it's goodbye.
This program is brought to you by UCKG.